I spent $33,327 on courses so you don't have to. And in this video, I'm going to explain A, if it was worth it, and B, I'm going to give you the cold hard truth about why the typical person can't get any results from online courses. So throughout my time in the online space, I've bought courses from all the big online names that you can think of. From people like Ty Lopez to Sam Ovens to Ramit Sethi. I've bought things from Grant Cardone. I've bought endless amounts of books, different courses. And was it worth it for me? Yes. Would it be worth it for absolutely everybody? No. And here's why. Execution is key. I remember being in my early 20s listening to the Pat Flynn podcast, and I discovered Pat Flynn online because he's this amazing entrepreneur who basically generated loads of passive income for himself, like hundreds of thousands a month. And I remember listening to podcast after podcast as I was driving home from work, and the amount of value and knowledge that he was giving across, I was like, you know what, if I just consume this information like a sponge, I'll be a pretty brilliant entrepreneur by the end of it. Anyway, some years passed and I kept trying this strategy and I tried it with different podcasts. You know how much my income increased by? Zero. And the reason why is I was not actioning any of the advice I was given. I was not executing on it. It wasn't until a few years had passed that I actually decided to start up in business and actually make the decision to commit to actually actioning this knowledge. And once I decided that I needed to specifically action this knowledge, I realized that the level I could consume went way down because each bit of consumption of material needed action put into it. You can consume the best knowledge in the world from the world's leading experts on subjects, but if you don't actually action it, it's not going to get you anywhere. And is that their fault? Absolutely not. When you commit and you execute, then you can start getting results. I spoke to this entrepreneur the other day and he was like, Rob, I'm so stuck with my situation. I don't know how to move forward. I've bought courses, I've bought mentors, I've read all these books, but nothing's really working. So I set up a call with him and we started talking through his situation. We started talking about what he was trying, what his strategy was saying, what he was being recommended to do as well. And what actually happened was, even though this guy was surrounding himself with tons and tons of knowledge and consuming it all, his actions weren't actually the recommendations of what these experts were recommending. But get this, he couldn't figure out why he wasn't getting any results. Now, I've been there as well. It's a tough spot to be in. Here's a better approach I recommend instead. Spend 30 to 60 minutes per day consuming knowledge. Take one key point away from that knowledge and then spend the rest of the day actually actioning and executing on what you've learned. If you get to the end of the day and you haven't managed to execute on the idea which you've learned in the morning, take that idea over to the next day and spend the rest of the next day executing on it. It's important that you execute on it because in the online world, you want to be testing things very quickly. Now, I know what you're thinking. Rob, this advice is all well and good, but what happens if the expert I was following, if the course I bought is from a scammer who doesn't actually know their stuff and is only interested in my money? What happens then? Which brings me to my next point. Are there scammers out there? For sure they are, but they aren't the people you think they are. Here's why. From what I can see, the scammers are usually found at the local level. Just last year, I did amazing work for a company and I estimate I added $100,000 to $200,000 to their yearly income. And you know what happened? They ghosted me and didn't pay what they owed. Would a public figure who everyone really knows be able to continuously scam people and get away with this? I don't think so. Social media is huge these days. You can't do anything in secret, and if you do, sooner or later you will get found out. Yet most of these people just don't get found out. There hasn't been any concrete evidence that's come forward which says these people scam. Now, has there been an uprise in more aggressive marketing over the years? For sure, but that's to counterbalance the immense amount of entrepreneurs that have come into the online space and business owners who are trying to also also get their own as well. And you kind of fall into two crowds now to get around this. You become like Sam Ovens, who's gone completely transparent with his company figures, with everything he's trying to do, or you become like Grant Cardone and you have to move into being ultra aggressive now with your marketing to actually stand out from the noise. It is a marketing tactic, and some people do get raised expectations about what the course can do for them. But does that mean the course is completely poor quality? Absolutely not. And when I take online courses or get a mentor, I'm literally looking for one bit of information I can take away from it. And if that one bit of information has a compounding effect and a profound effect on my business or like my life, it's totally worth it for me, because I understand that, you know, a house isn't built through one brick, it's built through many bricks, and you need the different courses, the different pieces of education to make your mind understand the context, to experience different things in different contexts and be able to add everything together. So it doesn't matter if you one day go broke, you will have the skills to be able to build everything up again. And when we really talk about scammers, most people end up scamming themselves. Now, what do I actually mean by this? Well, I can't count over the last few years the amount of people that have come to me with some sort of problem, whether it's like a fitness problem or like they need like an extra perspective on something, or it's a business problem. I give them the exact advice that helped me out of their situation, you know, whenever it happened to me in my life. And you know what happens? Like, nobody takes the advice. Like, next to nobody. Like 99% of people in a year's time are still in exactly the same situation. If you don't act on it at all, you haven't even got like a chance to resolve your situation or resolve something in your business, in your personal life. You are literally scamming yourself, because if you did take the advice, you would at least know in the future that didn't work, and it might even give you, you know, an idea of a different angle you can take. The amount of times I've aimed for like one plan, and at some point the plan has come off its rails and I've had to go a different way in a different direction. But luckily, because I have the knowledge to do so, I understand that I can pivot and change direction quite quickly. Now, here's another reason why most people can't get any results when they take a course or get a mentor. It's because they take a course to get the tactical information out of it. And that's completely the wrong thing to do. When I took Sam Ovens' course a few years back, sure, the tactical information inside it was absolutely great. Sure, it was spot on, and it had a 10% student success rate, which in the industry is impossibly high. But I didn't actually take it for that. I took it to learn from Sam and how he operates. Now, after hearing all of his information and listening to him on Q&As and hearing how he would answer questions, I would start to see patterns in how he answered things, patterns in how he made decisions and how he would advise someone on something. This is his worldview and principles on decision making, which is way more valuable than any practical information. I could think of a question in my head and think to myself, what would Sam advise me to do in this situation? Instantly, I know he would say, make the decision based around the product. Focus on the customer. Ensure you're in a space with zero distractions. And I can pretty much get his principles and apply them to any question I have, just because I've understood the information he gives across and understood his advice that he's given. Here's another example. I could look at Grant Cardone's sales scripts all day long, or I could just look at how he operates in his belief system. And I know this dude from watching him. He's massively persistent. He moves very fast. He's incredibly decisive, and he mitigates risk by being so fast and decisive, because he knows if he gets himself into a situation or does something which doesn't work, he can reverse out of there pretty quickly. And these foundations and his principles alone are way more valuable than looking at like the tactics he's giving across. Asking him what his tactics are completely completely the wrong question. Now, if you do buy a course, you want to ensure you've done your due diligence, looked into the person, understand what they do, looked at their history as well, and mainly decide whether it's a person you want to emulate. Now, why did I start talking about this topic? Well, honestly, one of my friends reached out to me and was like, this is a really popular online topic. You should put your input in it as well, because I know, Rob, you've actually bought courses and worked around some of these people, so give your unique input. So I took him up on it. But when I actually started doing my own research, I started to realize that this space of talking about fake gurus is so popular at the moment. People are coming out left, right, and center saying, you know, all these people are fake gurus, these people are fake gurus, but I've not actually seen any evidence. And here's another thing, since we're talking about doing your due diligence. A lot of these big names who are making these videos and who are getting millions and millions of views on this content probably haven't actually taken any of the courses themselves. I'm putting probably there because I've looked at some of the content and I'm like, that information's not correct about this person. And then you got to think, why are they making videos like this? Well, it's because they get YouTube AdSense from all the millions of views that they get. And I'd like to bet that if YouTube stopped monetizing this area of videos on YouTube, like gurus and courses, the amount of people who would actually be standing up for the people and advising every one of those gurus trying to take their money out there would fall to zero. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, guys. My name is Rob Lally. I'm an entrepreneur based in the UK, and I've set up this channel to basically give you as much value as possible and to cut down on the learning mistakes I've made throughout my time as well. So if you did get some value out of this channel, please subscribe so you can see the next videos. I'm trying to grow this channel at the moment. Take care, have a great one, see you in the next video.